I really need to stop putting in those corn you could never do it again clauses. If you didn't understand what the intro was referencing, you must be new here. Hi, I'm Cornmilk, welcome to my channel. What it was referencing was the fact that this is not the first 100%ing something in hardcore with no outside materials video I've done. This isn't even the first 100%ing a Woodland mansion in hardcore with no outside materials video I've done. Because you see, my comment section are some very fun people. So at the end of most of my challenge videos, I'm like, hey, if you think I can't do it again, just comment, Corn, you could never do it again, and I'll do it again. But then people comment that and I have to do it again. And I have to make it harder because, duh, the whole point is to make it harder every single time. So that's what we're doing. I've already 100%ed a Woodland mansion in hardcore with no outside materials, so now we're doing a bigger Woodland mansion, and I won't be able to craft, and I won't be able to use a shield. So that ought to make things interesting. But before we can actually start doing the cool stuff, we need to get some logistics out of the way, because what do I mean by 100%ing a Woodland mansion in hardcore with no outside materials, and also making it more difficult? Well, let's take that step by step, shall we? 100%ing in hardcore is I'm going to do it in hardcore, except not really, because I'm not going to do it in hardcore, the game mode, I'm going to do it in the idea of hardcore, which is to say, I'm going to be in the hard difficulty in survival, and if I die, I'll quit the world. But I want to be able to have access to cheats, so that in the beginning I can teleport myself there and just get a faster start, and not have to go looking for the Woodland mansion, especially because I'm not going in with outside materials. So it just makes it faster and less of a hassle. Of course, I'm not going to be using cheats while I'm actually doing the run, because if I was in hardcore, I wouldn't be able to use cheats. So no, I'm not using cheats during the run. They're just for the beginning and the end. The beginning to get me there faster and make the entire process easier, and the end so I can check my work by using spectator and also some entity commands to make sure I've killed all of the things I was supposed to kill. And 100%ing it directly relates to that, because my version of 100%ing a Woodland mansion means I have to kill all of the naturally spawning evokers and vindicators that are in the mansion, and I have to clear out all of the rooms once. I don't have to clear them out permanently, because if I did that, I would need to, like, light up the mansion, and my job is not to light up the mansion, it's to 100% it. So, instead, I just need to get rid of all naturally spawning evokers and vindicators, and clear all of the rooms at least once. And when I say I'm doing it with no outside materials, I mean no outside materials. And that also includes not being able to take apart the mansion for materials. Of course, anything inside the mansion and inside the rooms is fair game, but I can't be breaking down the walls because I need more wood. I can break the walls if I think there's a secret room and I'm trying to get to it, but I can't use those blocks for building materials because that's sneaky and bad, and I can't tear down the walls to get building materials. There's also the basic rule of me not being able to leave the Woodland Mansion because, my job is to 100% it, not go wandering in the world. And then we get to the new rules that I'm adding for this one, which is that I won't be able to use a shield, which is pretty self-explanatory, and I won't be able to craft in a crafting table. And finally, this isn't so much of a rule as it is like a statement, but this is not the entire footage, because it took me over an hour to do this, and I'm not going to make you sit through an entire hour-long video that's barely edited. But if you do want to see like the full footage unedited, that will be linked in an unlisted video in the description like it always has been, and it's not like totally unedited. There are no cuts, but some parts have been muted for like my privacy and stuff. Anyway, those are the rules. Let me put them up in a nice little blurb here. And with all that out of the way, let's get into it. We start where all worlds start, in the Create a World menu, because that's where all worlds start, and I am naming this world Big Hardcore Mansion Run Smiley Face, because gosh, we all need a little smiley face in our lives. And as we already discussed, this world isn't actually in hardcore, it's in creative right now, so I can do /locate on the mansion, put myself in spectator, teleport myself there, and check everything out. Before I actually commit to doing the mansion run, I want to make sure that it's big enough, that it has enough evokers, and that it is not precariously placed next to a lava pool, because yes, I have had to end runs because the entire mansion burned down while I was still working on it, and I thought that was a little unfair. And here, I'm checking how many evokers are in the mansion by affecting all of the evokers with fire resistance for 10 seconds, and the command will then tell me how many entities it affected. And here, I'm seeing that's 4, which is 2 times more than we had last time, so I'm thinking, alright, and we're going in. You might notice that like all of the footage for this is pretty much silent. That's because I'm in college now. Congratulations! You are watching the first video I filmed in college. And the thing about college is that you want to be polite to other people. And so my roommate was asleep while I was recording this because the grind waits for no man. And I needed to record. So anyway, I was doing my best to be very, very quiet here. And so you likely won't hear me talking for the rest of this video, at least not in the footage. You'll hear me in voiceover. I'm voiceover corn. Hi. And while I've been rambling, things have actually been happening on screen, so let me just quickly explain that I saw the mushroom room, and the mushroom room is normally very, very useful because it gives you mushrooms and that's mushroom soup, but since I can't craft, that's actually not helpful. So what I'm doing is I'm just stealing all of the dirt in the wood and putting the mushrooms away because who needs the mushrooms? But the dirt and the wood are good because one of the most important things when doing a woodland mansion is to have blocks. Blocks are very important. And one of the first things I did when I entered this room was I blocked off behind me because I have been burned before. I have been stabbed in the back before. Literally, a Vindicator has come in and stabbed me, and I didn't notice because it wasn't blocked off, so always block off your rooms. And right here, that little indent in the wall means there's a room that always spawns with an efficiency 1 axe in it, so that's great. But, as you can see, there are some open rooms around me, and I'm paranoid and want them all blocked off. So I'm going to block off as many as I can and then go for that axe. The axe is valuable because it's a weapon, and the tree is valuable because it's blocks. And as I said, blocks are very, very important. The tree could also be great if it would give me an apple, but it didn't give me an apple, and I'm holding a grudge against that. But anyway, at the end, what I do is I convert all of my freshly gotten logs into planks, and then I am on my way to raid some other rooms. But I don't immediately go raid a room. I do block off a room, but I can see a Vindicator, and I have a feeling that if I get distracted and go raid a room, the Vindicator is going to come up behind me and stab me, and that would be very, very inconvenient. So instead, I decide I'm going to provoke the stabbing so I know it's coming, and that way I'll be able to deal with the Vindicator and be on my merry way. And this is why blocks are so important. Because Vindicators are easy. You build out of their stabbing distance, and then you can hit them and they can't hit you, and eventually you will kill them, yes, just by punching them to death, even if you aren't using a weapon. And you might be thinking, Corn, why aren't you using the axe? The axe is for evokers. Because evokers you cannot just punch to death like that. Evokers are harder, so we save the axe for them because axe durability is a precious thing. Also, I'm not going to make you watch me beat them to death 1 punch at a time on normal speed every single time. I just generally do it for the first time. And, well, if you want to watch the full thing, like I said in the beginning, that'll be linked in an unlisted video in the description. Anyway, the next room I come upon is the melon and pumpkin farming room, which always has a Vindicator spawn in it, and this is a very good room, because melons are food, and that is honestly pretty hard to come by in a mansion. You either need chests, or a mushroom room, which I can't actually use this run, or a melon pumpkin room, or just a lot of zombies. And so this is probably the best option I could have, so I could very quickly kill the Vindicator, and then I steal all of the melons. And not just the melons. I also stole the dirt under the melons for reasons I can't currently explain, but probably amount to I wanted to and blocks. Thus far, pretty much everything was going my way, which is great because I love it when things go my way. Unfortunately, when things go my way like this, I tend to get a little bit ahead of myself and a little bit careless. And that was exactly the case because in the next room, it had a Vindicator and I was most definitely careless. Isn't it just wonderful how Vindicators can hit you down to half a heart? Yeah, just wonderful. But I did manage to recover, thank you melons, and I punched the guy to death. It took a lot of melons and a lot of punches, but I got him, and then it was worth it because he had dropped an axe. It had terrible durability, but he had at least dropped me an axe. And the rest of that first floor was honestly pretty easy. All of the scares were out of the way, and the first floor doesn't have any evokers, so it was really just a matter of me punching everyone to death, which I did, quite handily. Towards the end, though, there was one of those fancy little chest rooms. It didn't have a ton of good loot, but it at least was a fancy chest room. And then we got the jackpot, which was another one of those tree rooms that has an enchanted axe, which meant I now had 2 axes and could definitely start stabbing things. So I went up to the 2nd floor intending to do that, but then I was almost immediately swarmed by Vindicators, so I went back downstairs, and I decided that if I was going to use my axe here, it would just use up all the durability, because there were so many of them, so yes, I punched them all to death, and it took so long. It's more than a full minute of footage of me just punching them, but luckily 16 times speed exists, and more luckily, one of the Vindicators dropped an axe, which I was able to combine with my other low durability axe to make a slightly more durable axe. And now that there weren't a gajillion Vindicators at the top of the stairs, I could actually go on to the 2nd floor. And the first thing I found on the 2nd floor was, funnily enough, the stairs to the 3rd floor, which I immediately blocked off because we're not ready for that. That was pretty much my strategy for the 2nd floor. Block off everything and then go back and tackle things one by one. Check the rooms one by one, and then you can take on the things inside one by one, and hopefully that means you won't run into any evokers and won't be caught off guard, which was not what happened. I was just trying to clear out this room. I thought I had checked it thoroughly. I was fighting the mobs in the little box thing, and then why do I hear a Vex noise? Maybe it's because there's an entire evoker you missed. Now, I don't know what to do. I am panicking aggressively. I'm pretty sure I'm going to die. And more than that, I am trying very hard not to be loud because my roommate is asleep and I do not want to wake her up. So what do? I panic and I run straight at the evoker and start stabbing. And for some strange reason, that actually works. So success, I've killed an evoker. Less success, bunch of Vex, I don't have a ton of health, I am panicking. But at least I have the totem because I killed the evoker. Where's the totem? I didn't pick it up. Why? So I'm booking it back to the totem, because right now, if any of the Vex hit me, I am dead. I am game over dead, and the totem is the only thing that can save me right now. So I pick up the totem, but I don't actually have any room in my hotbar, so it's pretty much useless right now. Like, if you die with a totem in your inventory, you don't come back. So I'm running to try and get a little bit of distance so I can offhand it, and then just keep running, and hopefully they lose interest before they kill me. But they are on me, and I am just running because I can't offhand it right now. I'm sorry, I don't have the time. If I stop to move it around in my inventory, I will get stabbed and all will be for naught. So I am just running, I am hoping for the best, and then I hit a dead end, so I real quick offhand it, and I sort of dodge around the Vex, which I didn't know there was a thing you could do, and then I just keep running because that is the name of the game right now. Run and try not to die. And as I'm running, it's occurring to me that I'm gonna need to keep running, and so I'm gonna need to keep, like, my hunger pretty high because I'm gonna need to keep sprinting. Now I need to create enough space so I can start eating again, because I'm not that far away from being at 3 hunger and not being able to sprint. But there's a guy coming at me really fast, so I just stab, and somehow that works. I deal some good damage, the Vex doesn't die. Luckily it was only one Vex, I don't think I would have survived several, and I'm able to eat some more melon and then get right back to running. After a while, the Vex died off, and I was able to go back to the second floor. And I thought, you know what, Corn? You know how you just barely survived fighting an evoker, and how you were startled and the Vex were terrible? You know where another evoker is. You blocked him in a room. And what if you go fight that other evoker right now? So I did. I went to the room where I knew the evoker was, and I just sort of started knocking out the wall towards the bottom so I would be able to see the feetsies, and when I saw the feetsies, I went for the feetsies. And then it was just a matter of playing the running game again, but as we learned, I am very good at the running game, so it was really no issue whatsoever. I'd run for a while, and then, when I didn't hear the Vex anymore, I would go back upstairs and aim for the feetsies. And with that hit-and-run strategy of aiming for the feetsies and running away and just waiting it out and then coming back, I killed my second evoker. And with that evoker's death, the second floor was done, and it was time to move on to the third floor. And with 2 totems, I was feeling invincible. I was blocking off rooms and killing Vindicators like a pro, and I had actually finally started using my axe. Pretty soon, I had cleared the floor of all Vindicators, because Vindicators are easy to fight. Evokers, not so much. There were 2 left, and they were not going down without a fight. The first evoker I tried to take out wasn't by any walls, so I couldn't use the go for the feetsies approach, and when I tried a full frontal assault, I was very quickly scared off. So I switched targets. The other evoker was hanging out by the walls, so the feetsies tactic was still totally valid and totally working. But if I was being honest, running from Vexes was kind of getting old because, like, while I'm good at it, it doesn't mean I like doing it. And so I remembered back to the last time I did this when I found out that if you shoot a evoker with an arrow from far enough away, they don't seem to realize you've shot them and so then don't aggro and summon the Vexes on you. So I thought, what if I combine the feetsies technique with my bow and arrow? The evoker made the noise, so I still kind of ran away, but no Vex were summoned, so my experiment was a success, and I was fully ready to do it again, but then the evoker moved out of the range of, and so I was like, dang it, and I switched targets again. I went back to the other evoker, who was in a room that I knew had a chest on a higher level, but I hadn't been able to nab it because, there was an evoker in the room. And then I had the brilliant idea that I could scale the wall and, break in through the side and nab the chest that way. So I did, and the chest had goodies. It was no god apple, but it was 2 gapples and a diamond chest plate, which is pretty darn close as an exchange rate. I still didn't feel quite confident enough to try and attack the guy in the room that I had stolen the chest from, so I went back to my other target and hoped that he had moved. And he had! The evoker had moved, and that meant I was finally able to kill him. 3 evokers down, 1 to go. Only 1 evoker stood between me and completing my goal. So I took stock of my situation and decided that with 2 gapples, 3 totems, and a diamond chest plate, I could probably do a full frontal assault. So I pre-gapped, I went into the room. There's something a little funny about the way it turned out, because earlier I had done the exact same situation as this, even in the same room, and I had killed the evoker without the gaps, or the totems, or the diamond chestplate. But now that I had all those things, I very nearly died. I popped 3 totems in the span of 10 seconds while wearing a diamond chestplate and having eaten a golden apple. Admittedly, I think I started panicking after the first totem popped, because in the footage you can clearly see me just punching the evoker desperately, not even with my axe, just punching the evoker. Around the time the second totem popped, I knew I had to get out of there. So I did, and I ran for a very, very long time. I thought I was dead for sure, but my skills in running came in clutch, and eventually, the Vex died off. And so now I was left with a dilemma. I did not have the resources to do another full frontal assault because it clearly had not worked, but I still needed the evoker gone, and it was probably just a couple of hits to do it. And then I thought of the chest, and breaking in through the side, and the fact that I still had my bow and 1 arrow. This was a dangerous gamble, though. If he saw me before I saw him and sent the Vex after me, I was not in a place I could easily escape from. But this might be my one shot. And so it was done. But I wasn't quite done with the mansion. Not yet. I had killed all the evokers and vindicators, yes, but I hadn't fully checked all the rooms. And when I did fully check all the rooms, I found a hidden room I had overlooked. After all the time I've spent in Woodland Mansions, I know the secret rooms very well, so I knew that this one had 2 chests between the ceiling and the roof. Once I took what was in them, I would have seen everything the mansion had to offer. But, in my hurry to do so, I almost threw the entire challenge. It was only the fact that I had absent-mindedly offhanded that last totem that saved me. And if I'm being honest, that loot was definitely not worth almost dying for. I had done all I could in survival. I had searched the mansion top to bottom, and I had killed every mob I came across. But now it was time to check in Spectator and with commands, if I had actually 100%ed it. Checking in Spectator was easy. I went into Spectator and I checked all of the rooms of the mansion, and sure enough, I had been in all of them. And then it was time to see if there were any Vokers or Vindicators left. So I did exactly what I did in the beginning and tried to give them an effect, even though I was really struggling with how to type out the command at first. And lo and behold, there were none left. I even went so far as to try to type Illager, forgetting that they were no longer called that, and to type in Pillager, and all in all, nothing hit. There were no Pillagers, Illagers, Vindicators, or Evokers in the mansion. I had accomplished my goal. I had successfully 100%ed a woodland mansion, a bigger woodland mansion with more evokers, and hardcore Minecraft with no outside materials, without a shield, and without using a crafting table. So yeah, I did it. And maybe it's you guys who need to stop saying, Corn, you could never do it again, because clearly you don't understand what never means, because I can do it. I can do it, and I will do it. Anyway, if you want to watch the full thing, remember that's linked as an unlisted video in the description. And thanks for watching! I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope to see you in my corner of the internet sometime soon. See you next time! Maybe.